Let's play a game of what if. What if one of your employees clicks on a link in an email? What if somebody just grabs a USB flash drive in the parking lot and plugs it into one of your computers? What if somebody just guesses a password of the owner or somebody important in the business and starts sending emails? This is why you need to test your cybersecurity. So let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Chris Burns from Techie Gurus, and welcome back. So obviously we're running a special this week, and it's all about testing security. We had a whole month dedicated to it, October. But did you actually make an effort? Did you actually go out and have somebody test it? Let me guess. You have internal IT or you have an IT person. And they're great. Or they're terrible. Either way, they get the job done. Or maybe you're shopping for somebody new. Okay, so let's talk about this. Have they tested your security? Or do you just assume? Because one of the most dangerous things that we can do is just assume that somebody's doing something right. We assume that the people that we've hired are doing the right things. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to fire them. Maybe that's just not their expertise. Maybe they're really good at fixing your computers. Maybe they're really good at working with your software. But if they're not trained in cybersecurity and they don't know what they're doing, it's dangerous. Because the what if scenarios that I presented at the beginning, the what if somebody clicks on an email, what if somebody picks up a flash drive and plugs it in, we've been taught that protection is the way to go. And it is. Look, you need protection. You need email protection. So you need anti-spam, anti-phishing. You need a firewall. You need antivirus. But guess what? Those things can be evaded. So what happens next? And that's what this week is about. That's what our deal is about. That's what everything is about this week, is you should be testing your security. So let's talk about the two main ways to test your security. One would be a vulnerability assessment. And that's where we're just going through a process and we're trying to identify your weaknesses and find your gaps and just tell you what they are. If we do a penetration test, that's where we're actually doing a simulated attack and trying to exploit those weaknesses. So the reality is it's really a difference between breadth versus depth. So vulnerability assessment is very wide. It covers a lot, but it doesn't actually do anything. It just shows you that you have vulnerabilities. Whereas a penetration test actually goes through and actually sees what it can do. So an example would be, let's say you have a server, a typical network that we would see. Maybe what we do is we come in, we run a scanner to actually scan for vulnerabilities. Now we have multiple ways of doing this. We actually use multiple scanners. So we can kind of show you like maybe where your vulnerabilities exist in like Microsoft 365 or on your server, on your workstations, maybe just your network. Maybe you have IoT devices that show up as vulnerabilities. We can test all of that. So that's a very wide way of testing, but it's not very deep. When we start doing penetration testing, we actually go and we actually try to use those vulnerabilities, try to exploit them to try to get to something. So maybe we have a rules of engagement and you say, okay, cool. We want you to try to get to our backups because we know if our backups are lost, we're done. And in a typical ransomware attack, one of the first things they do is they try to corrupt your backups because once they ransom you, if your backups are bad, look, you're probably going to pay. That's reality. That's what they're going for. So we're going to come in, we're going to test, we're going to try to hack your systems. And there's a few ways to do that, and I'll cover that deeper in a different video. But those are the two main ways. Now, a vulnerability assessment can be automated, and a pen test kind of can be automated, but for the most part, there's a manual process to that. And then the degree of skill needed, that's really the big difference. A vulnerability assessment is relatively easy. It's not extremely easy, but it's easy to run and manage. You have to use different tools. You have to understand how those tools work. But in penetration testing, it's far more expertise is needed to actually go through and actually do the exploits. So this is why you need to test. We want to know where the gaps are so that we can come up with a solution for those gaps. So you know where your risks are so we can come up with a solution to manage those risks. Because the reality is maybe you have a computer that you can't upgrade to Windows 10 for whatever reason. Maybe you have a line of business piece of software that just doesn't run. Well, we have to look at that, understand what the vulnerabilities are to it, and then put in place a plan to manage that risk, to minimize that computer being a risk on your network. It goes the same with your employees, training your employees. It's all about risk management. So I hope this was informative. I hope this was a big help for you. And until next time, stay cyber safe.